Hey guys, Mars Thinking here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today I wanted to talk about something a little bit interesting, definitely a wild theory based on absolutely nothing but a single change to an existing banner, but hear me out. I think it could be quite interesting to see where this goes. We talked about this very briefly on the podcast last night. Shout out to the boys from the Slot One Super Podcast and Truth for coming on to last night's episode. If you haven't watched or listened to it, do check it out. The VOD is up on the channel now and is going up on Spotify later on today. But basically, we were talking about the super tickets and how we still don't really have any idea what's going on with those and what they are going to be for. And of course, the fact that we know, based on the producer letter with the bit of a comment from Amatsu, where they also showed the previous year's couple of global first things, that there should be some global first thing coming out sometime in the near future. And whilst we can all speculate about a bunch of different things, could be a new unit, a big theory that we've been talking about again on the podcast was the fact that the Tanabata celebration on JP is in July, and then on Global usually releases in November. However, we know from that same producer letter that they plan to have the games synced by summer 2024, which means that technically after the worldwide celebration, everything should be coming out at the same time, which means they can't really then drop the Tanabata unit in November on Global because other stuff will be there at the same time, right? Because we're then going to be on the same schedule as JP. So whatever is going to be the Tanabata for JP in July could come out on Global slightly early as like a global first, right? In the past, we've had units like the Go Bros, Tech Broly, even STR UI Goku, LR STR Broly, these units coming out on Global first. Some of them, even if it's only for a couple of weeks, but that could be something that would be interesting to see. Now, there's a couple of other theories, and this is what the main one here is for this video. Obviously, bear in mind, we are getting towards the end of February. At the beginning of March, we should get a new Dokkan Fest. We are expecting that to be Piccolo and Gohan, but that could be a global first in and of itself in that time slot. And then March the 18th is Saiyan Day. Now, if that beginning of March Dokkan Fest slot is a Dokkan Original, a global first, or Saiyan Day is related to this particular thing, right? If either of those are going to be Universe Survival Saga, especially with all of the buffs that team has been receiving from the anniversary, like imagine we get a UI, like transforming UI Goku, like the sign into the white-haired one, as Saiyan Day or as a global first, then this unit would fit in very nicely along those kind of lines, right? We've had the the Int Androids release earlier in the month, right? And then we've just had the LR Ribrienne come out as their Part 2 LR. Now, this is the banner on JP, and a few of these units were changed. The Tech Kale and Caulifla weren't present. And a big one is obviously these legendary summon banners have 3 featured LRs among the 10 featured units. And whilst the banner obviously featured the Ribrianne LR and did have the return of Bulma, instead of Kale and Caulifla, the banner has the Universe 7 like team LR, right, which starts off as the Android 17 as a featured unit. Now, this could mean absolutely nothing, but this could be an indication that this unit is going to get an EZA very soon, and potentially as the global first thing. So like I said, a bit of a wild theory, but it's I don't understand why they would change the banner, right? Because the Ribrienne, Rosie, and Kakunsa, they are, like, whilst they are tournament or participant units, they are Peppy Gal's characters. They're an LR. Now, they changed the other Kale and Caulifla units on the banner as well, but Kale and Caulifla, you know, made sense to be on this banner, whereas the Universe 7 team, these guys are the Part 2 LR from the year, like the 6th year anniversary. So, seems very, very strange to just randomly throw them in as a featured unit on this banner. And with everything that's been going on Global with the Android celebration, if this unit was actually good again, then this unit would be super good to run on that team, right? They greatly raise attack for 1 turn, colossal damage, and raise allies' defense by 30% for 1 turn. So I'm assuming that applies to themselves as well. So they basically have raised defense for 1 turn on their super. Then their ultra super, mega colossal damage, raise allies' defense by 30%, chance to crit 7% for 1 turn. Good old 7%. What a crazy amount. But these could easily, like the 18 key, even if it's just the 18 and not the 12, could easily be raised to raise his allies' defense by 50% and then give the crit chance something actually decent, like 15 or 20, maybe even more. That'd be pretty great. And then their passive skill, they get some start of turn attack and defense, and then they get basically that same amount again when there are 5 or more reps of Universe 7 allies on the team. Now, that team has been getting buffed like crazy during the anniversary. So these guys on that full reps of Universe 7 team could be really, really good. They get extra attack when key is 22 or more. They get additional key per rainbow key sphere, and they have a chance to crit per rainbow orb as well. Now, considering all the crazy stuff that we've seen from some of the EZAs that have been coming out for the anniversary, not only would these guys be, these guys have the potential for an EZA to be very, very good. But when we look at all of the things that they're doing, getting extra key, right, getting extra attack on when at a certain amount of key, getting extra key and crit chance with rainbow orbs. And then we look at some of the EZAs that we've seen so far from the anniversary, like these guys, the Blue Kaioken, Goku, and Vegeta, who also want to pick up a lot of rainbow orbs, but they create rainbow orbs themselves and are a ridiculously powerful unit. Obviously, at the start, in the countdowns part of the celebration, technically, we got the STRUI Goku EZA. And of course, coming up in part 3 of the anniversary sometime soon, we're going to see the EZAs for the AGL-UI Goku and the Int Blue Evolution Vegeta. So this team is getting a whole bunch of buffs, whereas on Global, things are a little bit dry. I mean, we have, as I say, the Int androids, who are kind of, an interesting unit, not great in the current meta as it is on Global. Not particularly great against AoE, so the 2 toughest fights at the moment, Zamasu and Omega, they can get exposed pretty badly. But, as we're now seeing again with the anniversary on JP, none of the bosses that have released so far, the actual new difficult content, have AoEs. So these guys can be really good. Their team looks really good. And so adding this unit in as a global first EZA, I think would be pretty cool. We also have, I should have brought these guys up as well, but I guess technically, whilst they're not featured on the banner, they could go ahead and EZA both of these units at the same time, because these guys were the other Part 2 LR from the anniversary for the 6th year, and they're not particularly great. They were never really that great on release, right? They can launch a bunch of additional attacks, and then they build up attack and defense and key with each attack performed. And then they build up crit chance and damage reduction within the same turn, and then it drops off. But if they made that like a permanent thing, gave them, their additional is a great chance of launching up to 2 additional attacks. They could basically just make it so they launch an additional attack that has a chance to become a super, and then you could add in maybe the third one is just a chance to be an additional attack. But these guys would have potential to be pretty decent, and they have an active skill, which gives them a bunch of key, a load of defense, and then crits for 1 turn. Now, we can't change active skill effects or conditions, but I mean, if they give them an extra way to get supers, because the condition to use it is 4 or more supers have to have been fired off. So if they do update their passive so they could do additional supers, even if it was just a chance, right? On their best turn, if they got their super off, then they get the 2 additional attacks and they both become supers and they get the hidden potential. Then they would be able to use their active skill on the next turn. And just by giving them a decent amount of base defense and stuff like that, then having an active skill that gives 7 key and an extra 77% defense, like multiplicative, would be really, really good. Because if post EZA on a good rotation, let's say these guys had like 500k defense, then when you pop their active skill, they're getting 77% on top of that. Now, we're seeing bosses hit so hard now that ideally they'd want to have guard, but they're building up damage reduction. And if that's something that they are able to keep, then that would be very good. Obviously, if it is going to still be build it up and then lose it at the end of the turn, maybe something like 10% per attack And considering they're regularly would then be doing 3 or 4 attacks, I think that would be very cool. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Obviously, it seems like a bit of a out of nowhere kind of suggestion, but it just seems very weird. Like when I looked at the banner when it came out, it just seemed very, very strange to me that this unit was on there instead of the AGL Kalen Caulifla, and there doesn't really seem to be a particularly good reason why they would switch those units around, right? Like there's no real benefit to anyone for this unit being on the banner because they're not exactly super good or usable at the moment. Like unironically, I think I only pulled 1 copy of them during the 6th year, and then after that I have these guys, I have all their paths unlocked, but they're sat in my box at 97% because I'm never going to use them until they get an EZA. So there's no point me doing their hidden potential and then they get an EZA and I realize I have to change it completely. So these guys are just very much sat in my box, not really doing anything, and an EZA for them would definitely be very cool. If you're somebody who did pull for the androids and actually get them, and then especially if you did also pull Ribrienne, like getting these guys would be a really good buff, especially because we still, you know, even if we're waiting on some of these big EZAs that we do know about from the anniversary, we are still, we do still have units like the STR Blue Kaioken Goku, who can be very good as long as he has good reps of Universe 7 allies to run around him. And this could end up being one of those units if their EZA is good. So let me know what you guys think. The other thing that is very interesting to consider as well is the fact that we have the news for the part 2 here. Good old Dokkan info ads. So this is the news for part 2. You can see here we got the Ribrienne banner, came out on Thursday. It's up for like 2 weeks. Ticket packs available for 2 weeks. And then we have here sales that came out with Ribrienne Thursday the 15th until Tuesday the 20th at 6 GMT, or just before. 6:30 is when new stuff comes out, right? Like as you can see here. So these sales for Ribrienne are only available for 5 days. So on Tuesday at 6:30 GMT, something else is potentially going to happen here. I didn't mean to click on there. Something else is going to happen right here. And nothing in the news goes past, I believe, the World Tournament. There's nothing else below here that's later. No. So the World Tournament runs over the weekend and technically ends obviously on the morning of Monday the 19th. And then on Tuesday the 20th, something else is happening because Dokkan doesn't usually ever like to have no sales active at any one time. So something else is potentially coming out on Thursday the 20th. And remember the Super Dokkan tickets that I mentioned earlier, we don't know what they do yet, but they are valid to be used until the 11th of March. And usually tickets are valid for a little while after the banner because they want to make sure people who've like forgotten to use them get to use them. So this could be some, like anything. It could be Global First, could be a random unit from JP out of schedule, who knows. But if it's something Tournament of Power related, then I feel like it makes it even more likely that the EZA for these guys could be on its way. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think they're just on the banner randomly because who knows? Or do you think there's any rhyme or reason why these guys would be put on the banner instead of AGL Kalen Caulifla? It could be nothing at the end of the day. I just thought it was a very interesting idea to discuss because I just don't understand why they would put them on the banner instead of Kalen Caulifla, who already have their EZA. So technically they're making the banner worse because they put on an LR that doesn't yet have an EZA, whereas at least Kale and Caulifla are kind of somewhat usable. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. If you wanted to, if you could design these guys EZA, let me know what you would give them. But yeah, I think that could be very interesting, and I definitely would be up for seeing that as a global first, especially if we're going to get some kind of Tournament of Power related global first unit or something for Saiyan Day. I think that would be pretty cool. So let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.